One of the things that I talked about with Kai last week that stuck with me the most is the fact that Go, although a very Japanese game, is not necessarily popular in Japan, especially among younger people, and that it kind of takes a backseat even over there when competing against games like chess. And I assume this is kind of the norm in Korea and China as well. So it seems like maybe exposure isn't always really the problem with the lack of popularity with Go. Maybe it's just such a peculiar game that a very specific kind of person can appreciate. I think there are a lot of people that would appreciate it if they were exposed to it more, but it seems to have like a calling for a certain kind of DNA that you might have that really likes this kind of thing for whatever reason it is. But it seems like Go it's just destined to be this kind of niche thing, and that's not necessarily a bad thing, but maybe kind of something that I would say tempers my expectations in terms of how far we can go with the game. Of course, you want it to be well known. You want it to be in the culture, and I mean, at least I think most of us do as Go players. We want it to be popular. We want more players to exist in our community. But I think the fact of the matter is, this game is very unique. It requires a certain personality to take upon the challenge of playing this game. One that has a lot of grit and determination, one that is okay with abstract concepts, okay with logic, okay with uncertainty. And that may be a little bit hard to find in the majority of human beings. I'm sure anyone can cultivate that in themselves, but the disposition that they have when they encounter a game like Go usually is probably like, maybe this is not a game for me, right? It's very difficult. And as with all of you, I feel like we've always encountered other things in our lives where you try it out one time and you just kind of throw it away, going, this is kind of this doesn't really suit my personality. This doesn't suit what I like, and that's okay. Everybody's different, and so I think we just kind of have to accept the community that we have and continue to grow and make a healthy population of Go players that is always welcoming to those who want to give Go a try. You're listening to Start Point, the show about Go for Go fans away from the board. And today, I want to talk about strategy and how to strategize in Go. So this is like a very important topic for Go because Go is a strategy game. But I think when we play experientially, we will often lose the strategy part of the game, and we will lose ourselves kind of like with blinders on in the nitty gritty or other things. But it's very important to strategize in Go. And it can be very difficult, and it can be very, very rewarding to strategize. So why should we strategize? Well, after learning the basic mechanics and kind of cutting your teeth on the beginning ranks of Go, and you've experienced Go enough that you kind of understand the routine of what the game is like. After you do that, and then you start grinding, right? You try to improve as much as you can in many different ways. And in the beginning, there are so many things that just come at you and come naturally to you to improve tactically, right? Just reading wise and learning how to manage your time, learning endgame and all that stuff. It just comes naturally just by playing so much. But you come to a point where there's a bit of a plateau, and one of the ways to break through that plateau is to learn how to strategize, because that truly unlocks the next level of play. I think you will go through this kind of strategy thing maybe a few times in your Go career. But overall, it's something that I think you do have to be conscious of as you improve. It's not something like those beginning games where you are automatically improving, like tactics and reading, a lot of those things, they just come naturally to you, and you just get better at them by being more exposed to those things. And strategy, yes, to an extent, you do get more experience, but it's less like that. And I think it does require more of a conscious effort to improve and actually apply. And I think a lot of people are actually stuck where they are because they don't try to critically analyze the game that they're playing, and they don't strategize. Right? That's I think most beginners and DDKs don't activate their strategic brain. I think maybe they have a faux strategy, like kind of thought, maybe, and maybe it's kind of debatable. And like obviously, when you try to strategize, you can make errors in that as well. But I would say the vast majority of the beginning players, during their gameplay, they very much tunnel vision on singular goals during each of their plays. You'll have like an attack mentality for a long stretch of moves before ever questioning what that attack is supposed to be doing. Or you have players that just completely prioritize being connected or playing so that they never die. Or you have players who are just always hungry for territory, and they never shift gears one way or another from any of those singularly minded strategies. And this is not always because they want to do it. It's not because you go into the game and you're like, today I'm going to do an attacking strategy through the entire game. It's because it's easy to lose handle of yourself, and it's easy to go into the game, start attacking, and then before you know it, you're 50 moves into this attack that you haven't questioned ever. So it's very important to zoom out, and that's kind of the theme of strategizing. It's the zooming out aspects, because in Go, we are the foot soldiers as well as the general. So if you're always the foot soldier, you're never going to see the big picture and prioritize everything correctly, although you might become very strong with a foot soldier. But it'll always be better to have a strong general behind the foot soldier. So one of the things you should do in order to begin strategizing is distinguish between what you want to do and what you can do. These are kind of like multiple ways of describing this abstract versus concrete, or strategy versus tactics, or micro versus macro. There's many different ways to view the game. But this is one of the ways, right? What you want to do and what you can do, right? So for example, there are many things you will encounter during a game that you will want to do, right? You might want to disconnect a group. You might want to connect a group. You might want to pressure a group. You might want to build territory. You might want to build a framework. You might want to build influence. You might want to just simply live and save a group. There are so many things that you want to do on the board. And then that's different from what you can do. And can do, I guess you could interpret that in a couple ways. One way being, is it even possible? But another way being, do I have the skill necessary to be able to do it? And I guess for the sake of the game you're playing, it's the same thing, right? You have to find the thing you have the skill capable of doing. So for example, let's just take disconnect a group as the example. Let's say that you go into the game and there's a situation where you're like, I want to disconnect these two groups. Can I disconnect those two groups? Then you start reading out and tactically arranging whether that is an executable plan. Do you have the means to do it? Can you read it out and find a conclusion where that disconnection actually happens? So what you want to do and what you can do are two different things. And when you're not strategizing, I think you are very focused on what you can do instead of what you want to do, right? You start you briefly entertain the idea of disconnecting the group, find that that's maybe moderately a good thing, and you just go right into spending 90% of your time figuring out how to disconnect that group without ever backing out and saying, wait a second, what else do I want to do? What else would be good for me? Is this even good for me? Do I really want to disconnect this group? How badly do I want to disconnect this group? So just questioning that want to do is a good way to start strategizing. And in order to do that, you're going to have to start expanding your vision of what you want to do. Instead of just finding the first thing that you want to do and then doing that and trying to see if you can do it or how to do it, or even worse, force your way into doing it even though you can't do it, right? That is a mistake that we make a lot. If you start zooming out more and you start understanding more things that you want to do, you start to understand why you want to do certain things and why you don't want to do certain things, and why you want to do certain things more than other things. So one of the things is, if you say you want to do something, for example, I want to save this group, or I want to kill that group. The first question is really, if I don't do this, is it terrible for me? Or if I can do this, is it great for me? Right? So it's almost like an urgency first approach, right? That's one of the common pieces of advice we give for Go players, is to start with the urgent moves. And this is kind of a reinterpretation of that. So if you are looking at something that you want to do, you can kind of point to how badly you want to do it by seeing, I think first you would ask, if I don't do it, is it terrible? Is it game over, right? Let's say you're looking at that example from earlier and you're saying, I want to disconnect this group. If I don't disconnect this group, oh man, it's terrible for me. That's the worst. I might even lose just outright if I don't disconnect this group. So I'm going to just take all of my brain power and resources to fill up this. I gotta figure out how to disconnect this group, otherwise I lose, right? It's a little different when you have this thing where if you disconnect the group, it's great for you, but if you can't, it's not terrible, right? It's not the worst thing for you, but if you can, it's terrible for them. In that situation, you wouldn't want to devote all your resources into it, I don't think, because it may not be possible, right? It may not be possible. And if you spend too much time and energy on something that's not possible, then you are losing resources for other strategies that might be more sound, more cohesive, and ones that are more accessible to you. So after you analyzed it and say, oh, well, if I can do that, that's great for me. So then you ask the second question, which is, can I do that? But you should also ask, why is it great for me? Right? That is another level of things. So after you decide something that you want to do, you should also zoom out even further and say, why do I want that? Right? If you want to disconnect a group, what does that mean? Like, why do I want to disconnect this group? Because it's important to always understand the whys behind the whys of your moves. Because if I go in and I say, I want to disconnect this group and that's all I want to do, I might disconnect the group, but then I might end up with an end result that doesn't actually give me any advantage. And here's why. Let's say that group I try to disconnect, I want to disconnect it because half of that group, or one of the sides that gets disconnected, if it's disconnected, I can continue to pressure that group and attack that group and bully that group so that I can potentially kill it or just gain off of it. But if I just simply disconnect the group and it allows my opponent to live on both sides and they're strong already, then that disconnection is kind of pointless, right? So you always should understand the whys behind the whys of your moves, right? The more you ask these questions all over the board, and the more you do this and weigh all your options, the better at strategy I think you're going to become. I think that this, if I don't do this, it's terrible for me, or if I can do this, it's great for me. Analysis is very rudimentary strategy. It's like the most urgent level of strategy, and it can be applied to a lot of the victory condition type things, like when you get a huge kill, right? A game-ending kill. Or there's this huge territory trade-off that happens, and you feel like if you get that giant territory trade-off, it's smooth sailing for you, and you barely have to try in the rest of the game to win the game. Or you might have just this incredible amount of influence, and if you have this trade, then it's GG. But that shouldn't be the norm in high-level Go, right? As the ranks get stronger, you're not going to get those opportunities. You're not going to encounter those do or die moments as often. You will see them every now and then, but you're not going to be asking, like, how do I kill half the board right now, right? That's not really going to be the normal thing. So that's also part of the reason why I say, if you're not as strong as you'd like to be, enjoy the games that you play, because there's some excitement in those lower level games that you'll never face again later on. But overall, as you improve, yes, you are going to face more ambiguous situations. The kills will be smaller. The imbalances will be more subtle, right? So the game is what we call Go hand talk, right? It's like a conversation, because it is like a giant negotiation. Throughout the entire game, you are negotiating with your opponent and disagreeing on things. You're disagreeing, saying, I think that this territory that I gain is worth more than the influence that you seem to be gaining over there. And so those little disagreements, whoever is right about more of those disagreements will inevitably win the game. So in the beginning, the strategy is like really just pay attention to all the great and terrible stuff, right? Like the amazing things for you and the terrible things for your opponent, or terrible things for you, preventing them, right? And as those fade away, you're going to have to hone your skill in negotiating and analyzing the game and understanding, okay, I want to disconnect this group because it gives me a slight advantage, right? Or I want to build this influence here because it gives me this potential for this plan I have later that I think is worth more than my opponent living here underneath my influence or something, right? You're going to have these very subtle kind of victory conditions. And you're going to, as you grow in rank, you're going to develop that skill and get better and better at it, hopefully. And that's really what Go is. And that strategy also depends, obviously, on your can-do at the end of the day, right? The tactics. So those are the tools you bring to the table. So you have to sharpen those skills, as well as think of your strategy and think about critically how this game is going to go your way. And so Go, I think, overall is a game of differences in perception all around, right? Whether it's a reading thing, right? I think that's the most obvious one, where you have this sequence and both of you are playing it out because you clearly disagree on where it's going to go. Obviously, there are ones where people just don't see something and it's just very obvious as soon as the other person figure it out. But there's other moments like, I think this influence is better than your territory and vice versa. Is this bad shape I'm giving you worth it enough for me that I am able to sacrifice this other thing that I am giving you, right? What is my opponent getting out of this trade versus what am I getting out of this trade? And I think that a lot of the imbalances you'll encounter are very imbalanced. And that's what really tips the scales in the game, especially even at my rank, right? You're going to have a lot of imbalances because one player is just not thinking about something, right? One player might be thinking very meticulously about, oh, is this trade-off good or bad, right? Is that group okay without another move, or is it doesn't need another move, while the other player isn't even thinking about the safety of that group, and they're just kind of going like, I need a bigger moyo, right? That's all they're thinking about. And so that imbalance of strategic thought creates a rift in the game where, well, one of the players is probably neglecting something very important. And either someone is not thinking enough about the frameworks, someone is not thinking about taking care of their groups. You don't know. And it's very hard to analyze at the end of the day as well, because sometimes the games go kind of crazy. But overall, I think that's kind of the basics of strategizing. Always thinking critically, and the way you do that is understanding why you are doing things and why you want to do those things, because everything at the end of the day comes down to points on the board. And if you have more points than your opponent on the board, that is what you are going for, and that is the victory condition. And from that victory condition comes a chain of whys that descends down into empty triangles are bad. Somehow, that's how it works, right? But that as you get stronger in Go, I think that's really the skill you're harnessing to understand the network of whys that build a game to be good for you or bad for you. And using that knowledge to shape your game is the way to win. I think we often like to think of Go as something that imitates life, and I think this strategy thing is also one of those ways. We are often caught up in the little things that we're doing. We get so sucked into a current task, a current anxiety that you have. Maybe you're facing something that is very troublesome to you, and you can't stop thinking about it. And it can really feel like that on the board as well when you are so zoned in on one thing and you forget to zoom out. You forget to step back and say, what are my values? What do I really want to do with all of the things that I'm doing? And really step back and wonder, are certain things worth it, right? Let's say you're a gamer and you're really mad and upset at something that you're playing, and you just feel very depressed and you're very, very into it, and you don't take the time to step back and say, wait, why am I even playing this in the first place? I thought this is something that I was supposed to enjoy. And to be able to step back and do that, I think is a skill in life as well as Go. And it's great that I think Go teaches those lessons, but I think it's our job to really connect the dots and realize that that's the same lesson and apply that to our own lives as well. It's now time for the DDK Advice Corner, and the tip of the day is play lightly in dangerous places. Maybe I should say tread lightly. But what I mean is, I saw a DDK commit to an invasion. I guess they thought the Moyo was pretty big and strong. I didn't think it was that, intimidating, but that's, again, the game of perception, as I talked about. That's something that you're honing as you get stronger, is not being afraid of certain Moyos and being afraid of certain other Moyos. But this person invaded and kind of committed very hard and started to lump their stones together and became very heavy, and it was no good for that player. So if you're going to do something like that and go plop a stone down into somewhere dangerous, might I advise you to play lightly. And what does that mean, play lightly? It means that you don't play so close to your stones. It means you kind of skip around and, forget about a couple stones here and there and let your opponent swallow them up as you gain some tempo, as you add a few more moves in. And then before you know it, you have a little bit more of an advantageous situation in that area. It's better than playing heavy, which is just sticking all your stones in one spot and then getting swallowed up whole because you're in a very dangerous place. So bounce off, play freely, and play lightly in dangerous places. And now it's time for listener mail. Alrighty, we got some catch up to do, and actually, I apologize to our first listener mail writer. I am quite late on reading this, and I hope you're still listening, but Invader Dust writes, thanks for the tip about new players not thinking too hard when playing stronger players. I am the newer player, and I very much tried super hard to use all my brain to show how good I am and how smart I am when I'm playing, but I know I'm not. This is good advice. Also, playing AI was very discouraging for me. I had to break the barrier and play real people online. All correspondence games so far, but still feels so much better than losing badly to AI. Thanks for writing in, Invader Dust. I again apologize. I'm pretty late. I'm like 2 weeks late or something. But I wanted to read this listener mail because I really appreciated it. Because I stand by that tip about not thinking too hard against stronger players, because as a newer player, it's like your brain is still developing the language of Go. And so you got to let your brain soak in the knowledge and then let it grow first. And then once you kind of understand the basics and fundamentals of the game, you can start to turn on your brain and kind of move forward and be, like, as you said, quote unquote, smart as you're playing. So you just let yourself learn, right? Just don't try too hard. It's good to think every now and then, but your brain is a wonderful piece of equipment that you have in your head, and it will do a lot for you without you even trying. And then your experience with AI, I'm very sorry to hear that. And that's also, why I discourage AI for the most part, especially for beginning players. AI will exploit you in ways that humans will not, right? It'll just feel like they're twisting a knife into your gut, and that's not a great feeling. And I feel like maybe that's something that you might have experienced. If it's not, let me know how it was discouraging to you. But it's different, right? You don't have a relationship with AI. You don't feel like you're playing against a peer. There's a lot of different reasons, but we can get into that in another episode. Anyway, thanks again for writing in. B writes, "Hello, Justin. Firstly, I want to praise you how you sort the class of moves by purpose, but I would like to have an attempt on sorting the move by reason. According to my experience as a DDK, subcategories of reasons to make moves, subcategories of reasons to make moves. Proverb moves, knowledge moves, experimental moves, paradigm shifts, and confused moves. Proverb moves are moves based on proverbs like Hane at the head of 2 or 3 stones. The opponent's best move is your best move. Even a moron connects to a peep. Knowledge moves are moves or ideas that you got from books, tutorials, or even courses. These 2 subcategories fall into the main category of our belief of how the game should be played, which after some reflection on them will remind me to revise the knowledge we learn so that we can get them correct and learn the expectations for common wisdom so we make better decisions in similar situations." Okay, so the start of your categorization, it kind of reminds me a lot of, I feel like there was another episode I either did or I was planning to do. But yeah, there are so many different ways to categorize moves, and this kind of by the book move, I think, is kind of what I would call these moves. Is definitely a category. I want to see what else you have to say here. Paradigm shifts moves are moves played according to previous experience or game reviews. For example, after being inspired by Lee Sedol and Lee Chang-ho's 3rd game at the 5th LG Cup, I started to appreciate side extensions and many pre-AI ideas relating to Moyo and the direction of play, and tried these ideas in my own game. Experimental moves are moves played based on questions of why not. Like, I recently played a game with a fellow DDK player who at move 3, instead of taking another corner, chooses to do an early 3-3 invasion on my start point. Despite the shock, I decided to respond to an annoying strategy by using the annoying strategy on them and invade the black star point. Like Matthew McKee in one of his courses, he did once said, when you mirror your opponent's move when they played a 3-3 invasion, you will never be behind. I never heard of that piece of advice. These subcategories are subjective changes that may not be objective. Best, you feel their benefits, and they are especially good for players who want interesting games. By reflecting on these moves, you will understand which ideas spice things up and which ideas are just not beneficial. So the fact that you got annoyed and shocked at the 3-3 invasion, yeah, you're going to get used to that quick. And 3-3s are going to be everywhere. But yes, I think there are definitely a category of moves to be said where you have seen them before. You've seen somebody else do them. And that's something that's amazing about Go. You can kind of mimic other players. And that's a benefit of watching other games and watching pro games. Lastly, there are confused moves. Moves we are simply unsure about when too many considerations crossed our mind, or too many dilemmas have arisen and we can't find a better solution to solve. Confused moves should signal a signal for us to study topics related to our dilemma or weaknesses, so we can set our priorities straight and improve the situation before we will get confused or panicked in. By understanding the reason behind our moves and the purposes we should be fulfilled will significantly improve our games, especially for the player like me at the lower level. That message sounds a lot like what I talked about in today's episode, so maybe it's apropos that I read your listener mail today instead of last week. Another thing I recently have been thinking on episode 97, Go deserved better from Nintendo. Relating to your recent discussion on making the game of Go more accessible for the masses, I have come up with an idea. Go education computer games with a storyline called The Board of Secret, where the main character are a young aspiring knight who has completed his combat training and prepared to set out to the world. His master believed beside combat skills, all great warriors are also sharp in the mind and decided to train his mind through the game of Go, or in my storyline, the game of Secret. I just think it's cool for Go to be a mysterious game in a very video game setting. This storyline can be set up to encourage to learn the basics of Go, and we add the model games where people are wise merchants, generals, or fellow warriors. I think this is a draft for a fun Go game, but of course, this is just an idea. I understand coding and world building for a game is very challenging, but I think it is fun to talk about. Hey, well, nowadays with vibe coding and stuff, with the AI-powered coding, you might be able to just do that. I think the idea of a more plot-driven Go game is a good one to me. The only reason I haven't played that Hikaru no Go game I picked up at Book Off a while ago is because it's very annoying to not know Japanese when you play that, because it's in Japanese from top to bottom. So I would have to hold my phone with the Google Translate up and just keep peeking over, and it's just very inconvenient to play. I mean, obviously I can skip through the dialogue and then just play the Go, but then what is it really? It's just then I'm playing a bad AI, right? I'm not really playing Hikaru no Go. I want to see the story and everything. And I think the challenge with those games is really the difficulty level. Who are you targeting and how do you adjust it for different kinds of players? I mean, it's solvable problems, I guess, but it just seems a little awkward to me. Lastly, I want to respectfully ask the reason why you didn't read the comment I've written on episode 120. I'm sorry if I didn't. I understand if something I wrote may not be suitable for your podcast, and no hard feelings besides that. Thank you for this comment. Keep playing Go and be strategic and awesome. Best B. Yeah, I'm sorry if I missed your comment. I remember you wrote in one time. I did read that one. If it's a different comment, the reason might be because when I record, I take the comments from the previous week, and if that comment was left later on, maybe the following week, it may not be included. So I apologize if I didn't. And of course, I encourage you, if you want to be read. Right now, I don't receive enough listener mail that I will just cut anyone off. But if you really want to be read on the episode, I would suggest emailing me at starpointpaduk@gmail.com, because that I do prioritize. And in the future, if I do cut comments for being too long, I will probably just start off with the email comments and then maybe cut off the social media comments. But anyway, thanks for writing in, B. Ye Blundered writes, I find your videos so relaxing. I thank you very much for that comment. That tickles me that you find the videos relaxing, just talking about Go. I think I would have found myself in a place in my life when I was obsessed with Go and I needed something to go to sleep to, and I would put on something like Starpoint. So I think in a way I relate to that, because what I would actually do, because back then there were no Go podcasts, was put on pro games, and I'm not great at Korean, especially when it comes to harder language like Go, and so I didn't understand anything what they were saying. I just wanted to have a Go board next to me and hear the click-clacks of stones as I fell asleep, and that was a period of time for me. So anyway, thanks for your comment. Tyrannoton writes, oh man, I'm honored you would cover my request even if it was already on your list. This was such a treat. Otan/Tyrannoton/Tyrone, in rare cases autonomous. I had no idea Otan was you, Tyrannoton, so thanks for your request, and I was glad to cover it. Sadaharu writes, the purpose of a stone is an interesting topic, unless unlike in chess, where each piece has a fixed function, the function of a stone in Go totally depends on how you want to use it. Having a purpose when playing also allows you to remember the moves better when replaying. While it's important to think about the purpose when playing, the interesting thing is that as you go to higher levels, you want to avoid making your purpose as obvious as possible. Make noise in the east and aim for the west is a good proverb that illustrates this point. If your purpose is too obvious, then the opponent will try to counter it, unless your purpose is the wrong purpose. Learning how to set up traps and trying to confuse your opponent is one fun aspect of Go as well. Just make sure you don't confuse yourself in the process and forget your purpose. I find this comment very interesting, Sadaharu. The make noise in the east and attack in the west proverb, and your comments about as you get stronger, you want to make your purpose less and less obvious. I have very much experienced that when I play against very strong players. I see them do things and I'm just like, what is that for? And they just kind of add a stone here or there and I'm like, what is that for? And then suddenly at the I might even be talking about you when I had our game with you. You did stuff like that. Maybe I need to start doing stuff like that. Right? I don't really know what I'm doing, but I feel like I should try something like that. And then losing track of your purpose is very much a problem in correspondence games. I have this huge plan laid out and I play that move, and then the next time it's my turn, I'm like, what was that plan? Why did I play this dumb move? But yeah, I want to add a layer of mystery to my game. I kind of had the impression that as you get stronger, you lose the mystery in your game and you just play moves that are true and good, but maybe not. I feel like maybe some smoke and mirrors could be something that I could use. And then Sadaharu writes in the next week, for the next week's episode, Taco, the ko which spills over into more kos halfway through while playing it. That was in reference to the joke I told that week, I think. Anyway, the last time I also used to think that if I were at my full strength or if I had put in more effort, I could have beaten that guy or won that tournament, etc. However, nowadays, I think those are just excuses, and every game I play is part of me, no matter how much effort I put in. Every single blunder or misread is an indication of my current strength, and I shouldn't label the games as lost because I did not put in enough effort. This makes games more stressful, just like my comment mentioned in this episode, but it also allows me to properly learn and grow through each game rather than just the serious games, which I put in more effort. Well, that is an interesting spin-off of a topic from what the episode was about, and like starts talking about the psychology of blaming or crediting your games with effort and how that affects your future behavior. I think I see that as well. A lot of people, and it's not just effort, right? You can blame not only your effort, but like the condition you're in. And maybe there's like noise in the environment and a lot of other things, right? Like, oh, I didn't prepare last night, and maybe a lot of these things do affect the result. But at the end of the day, as I kind of said about the effort stuff in that episode, right? Lisa Doll wakes up in the morning, has a terrible day, and has the most distracting environment, has a toddler screaming in his ear while he's playing, and somebody's pointing a gun at him, and he plays so effortlessly against you to which you will never ever surpass him. So effort is, it's a thing that you can kind of blame a little bit, but overall, like you said, it's something that you have to grow and own up to that game that you played, right? And maybe you do have to hone your effort and say, like, I do have to like buckle down and be more, have more concentration rather during the game. And so that's another part of your Go skill. Anyway, thanks for writing in, Sadaharu. Teddy James writes, when I play at tournaments, I feel like I play a whole 2 to 3 stones stronger. Haha, I feel like I can lock in a crazy way. I feel kind of the same way, and that's one of the reasons why I think it's more common in chess to really value your over-the-board tournament rating over your online rating. You will kind of see people say like, oh, your online rating isn't your real rating. It's just, it's your online rating. Your real rating the thing that you are really made of is your tournament over the board rating. And I think that reason for that is like kind of what you said, like it's different. You're in a different mind state. You're in a different, and each time you go show up to a physical tournament, it has a foundation of gravitas to it. And I feel the same way. And maybe that's why when I register as an OGS rank for a tournament, I feel like I'm slightly higher than that rank at the tournament. I definitely put way more effort into that. I put way more focus into that game. Like, if I'm looking at an OGS correspondence games, there's so many mind states that I'm playing in, and like I'm just kind of like every now and then I'm just kind of tired, and I'm like, this move looks okay, and I just play that move. I wouldn't do that in a tournament game, well, not as often at least. I also feel the same way. So thanks for writing in, Teddy James. And the question of the week this week is, how do you approach strategy in Go? Do you feel very conscious of your strategy? Do you find your brain strategizing, or is it just kind of natural for you? Do you find yourself tunnel visioning a lot? Let me know if you have any thoughts on that topic. You can leave a comment wherever you found this episode, or email me, as I said earlier, at starpointpaduk@gmail.com. That's starpointbaduk@gmail.com. And if you're a YouTube listener, I would greatly appreciate a like and a subscribe. And if you're a podcast listener, reviews and ratings also help. You can also give a follow wherever you're listening. A very special thank you to James B., Brendan S., Tristan, Jeff H., Tyraniton, aka Oton, aka Autonomous, aka Tyrone, and Andrew P. for supporting Starpoint. Thank you guys so much. And if you want to support the show in any capacity, you can go to ko-fi.com/starpointpaduk. That's ko-fi, or check out the Starpoint store for some Go merch at store.starpointpaduk.com. And come on over to the Discord and talk to other Starpoint listeners. You can find the link in the description. I went through a period of time liking Moyos, and then I hated them for a while, and then I started liking them again, and it just keeps going back and forth. A moyo-yo, if you will. Thanks for listening. Keep playing Go.